And today we have our social worker from West Oak Middle School, Lindsay. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lindsay Harmon. Like Dr. Olson said, I am the social worker at West Oak Middle School.
And then Mr. Carr.
Hi, I'm Will Carr. I'm a social work intern at West Oak Middle School.
And then Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I am an admin assistant at West Oak Intermediate.
Awesome. So Elizabeth, if you don't mind doing our introductions in Spanish, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Hola, buenas noches a todos. Estamos aquí con la doctora Kelly Olsen, directora de Servicios de Estudiantes. También tenemos a Lindsay Harmon, trabajadora social de la Escuela Secundaria de West Oak, y Will Carr, que es el participante de trabajo social de la Escuela Secundaria West Oak.
Awesome. Thank you. So today we are going to have an agenda of that. We are first going to be talking about what the environment looks like and just our general environment, especially when we are talking about hard things and difficult situations. Then we're going to talk about our communication strategies that we use and what our nonverbal, our paraverbal, and our just verbal communication shows to our kids and how we really need to have that when we're having really hard conversations. We're going to talk about different social emotional regulation strategies that we have found to be very helpful and really research-based to support our students' needs. And then we're going to be talking about support systems and continuing supports to ensure that after that hard conversation, we have the next steps to help that student or help that child with that situation.
So esta noche la agenda es, vamos a hablar del ambiente, también de estrategias de comunicación, estrategias de regulación socioemocional, sistemas de apoyo y apoyos que podemos continuar con sus estudiantes.
So the very first part is really understanding what a difficult situation is. Please keep in mind that students perceive challenges and challenging situations differently than adults do. What that means really is that a student's brain, a child's brain, does not fully develop till at least 24 to 26 years old. So they are not thinking rationally and in the same light that you and I do as adults. And they need to have that time and support to process through the information. What could be small to us could be huge to them. Just because they didn't get the right color crayon to us, we'd be like, okay, that's a little bit silly. There's a bunch over here. It's no big deal. But for them, they needed that purple crayon, and that purple crayon meant a lot to them. So we cannot minimize their feelings. They are feeling it, and it is valid. Then we also need to take into consideration all of the friendships, relationships, social media, not getting their favorite toy, all of that impacts them because that is their world. They go to school and then they have their relationships and social media and their toys. That is their whole around surroundings that we have to keep in mind. We have difficult situations and it involves a variety of individuals. It really can involve almost anyone, peers, friends, familiar adults, unfamiliar adults, parents, family members, people that they might not have very good relationship with, adversarial individuals. We have to know that those different types of people are going to be the ones that they could be having a difficult situation. And sometimes it's easier to have a difficult situation with someone where they're not getting along with than maybe a family member or a really close friend.
Ok, so la señora Kelly está diciendo que los estudiantes perciben las situaciones más diferente que a los adultos. Tenga en cuenta que el cerebro de una persona no está completamente desarrollada hasta los 24 a 26 años. Lo que podría ser una preocupación mínima para un adulto podría ser catastrófico para un estudiante. Amistades, relaciones sociales, no tener un juguete favorito, etc. Las situaciones difíciles implican colegas, amigos, adultos familiares, adultos desconocidos, los padres, miembros de la familia y también individuos aversivos.
So when a child becomes dysregulated due to a situation that is challenging, their intellectual and emotional thinking is really what it's telling us that's a difficult situation. We always talk about at school an emotional brain and then the thinking brain. And the emotional brain is when there's a lot going on and they are thinking only about that situation that is making them very upset and they're only solely focused on that situation. Whereas that thinking brain, you slow it down, you're able to process it through, think what I need to do next, and plan it accordingly. So when we're in that mindset, in that emotional brain, what it can look like and what a child can then show us is that they're going to be crying, they're going to be yelling over really simple tasks, just like all of a sudden you ask them to put away a dish and that they blow up like, oh my God, no, I'm not doing that. What do you mean? And it's really just because that brain is the emotional side. They're still thinking about that difficult situation, and any kind of input is really taxing on their brain, as well as anxiety, perseverating, meaning they just keep talking about it with you. They can't let it go. They're fixated on that topic and just continually bring it up. Anger, they just get really angry and you can just see where they're in that red zone. We like to say they're angry, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're running around, they're throwing their favorite toys. They're showing us that they are in that difficult situation and are trying to communicate to us. All behavior is communication. They are communicating right now that they're upset and they don't know how to handle it. Additionally, no communication is also communication, because if they are not able to process through and even verbalize how they're feeling, they might not know what to say and they won't communicate. So they're just going to kind of shut down until they're ready enough to be able to tell us a little bit of what's going on.
So, cuando un niño se desregula debido a una situación que desafió su pensamiento intelectual y socialmente, el niño puede demostrar que está pasando por un momento difícil mediante uno o más de los siguientes. Puede ser por llorando, gritando y frustrado por tareas simples, también por ansiedad, perseverante, enojado y también sin tener comunicación.
And then environmental variables is an important aspect of this to keep in mind. So before the conversation with your child, take into consider these environmental variables. Think about if the area is private and no one can hear the conversation with you. Do they feel safe? Do they have your full attention? Do they have a fidget or something that they can play with while talking to you? Is the child comfortable in the room that you are talking in? Minimize distractions and disruptions, and all devices are put away for the conversation. The main point of this slide is to have the student or your child feel safe in that environment that you are in. Having your full attention on them really builds that trust and makes them feel more comfortable with talking to you.
Antes de que ocurra la conversación con su hijo, tenga en cuenta estas variables. Si el área está privada y nadie puede escuchar su conversación, si se siente seguro su estudiante, si tiene su atención, si tiene un fidget o algo con que pueda jugar mientras esté hablando con usted, se siente cómodo el niño en la habitación el que está trabajando. Minimice las distracciones y las interrupciones. Todos los dispositivos de tecnología se guarden para la conversación.
And then to continue on environment, environments set the tone for our students. As I was saying, the environment sets the tone in a way that you're going to have the full trust of your child. Have a comfortable environment that allows the child to fully communicate their feelings with you. Each student's environment may be different based on their individual needs. So some of the examples of that would be a quiet area, music lightly playing, a brightly lit area, dim area, or some fidgets.
Los ambientes establecen el tono para nuestros estudiantes. Un ambiente cómodo le permite a un niño comunicarse completamente sus sentimientos con usted. El ambiente de cada estudiante puede ser diferente según sus necesidades individuales. Unos ejemplos son una sola tranquila, música tocando ligeramente, una área brillante, una área oscura o jugando con un juguete como un fidget.
So some supportive parental approaches to discussing these difficult situations with your children would be to build a relationship, having honesty, confidence, openness, care, and empathy. Empathy is a very important aspect of talking with your child through a difficult situation because it puts you on the same field as they are. You can use humor and flexibility. It's important to be calm, cool, and collected. Even if you are extremely upset inside, it's important to remain calm on your surface. Use a calm tone, be an active listener. Being an active listener means you don't need to be thinking about how you're going to respond the whole time. Really listen to what the child has to say. Give the student wait time, allow them to talk, so don't interrupt. Allow the time they need. Ask gentle and non-leading follow-up questions such as, tell me more about that and how did that make you feel?
Las necesidades de comportamiento difieren de un niño a otro. Utilice las siguientes características cuando apoye a su hijo. Construya una relación, ser honesto, tener confianza, apertura de atención y empatía, tener humor, flexibilidad, ser tranquilo, sereno, seguro. Si está usted extremadamente molesto por dentro, que nos enseñe para que su hijo pueda tener la confianza. Use un tono tranquilo, sea un oyente atento, dar tiempo de espera al estudiante. Permite que hablen y no interrumpan. Permita el tiempo que necesita y haga preguntas de seguimiento, suaves y no dirigas. Puede decir cosas como, cuéntame más sobre eso o cómo te hizo sentir eso.
And then to continue parental approaches, as a parent, it's our priority to keep our child safe, not only physically, but also emotionally. Physical and emotional health are just as important as the other. Parents' first instinct can be to become defensive and emotional about the situation, especially if it has to do with you as a parent. You might feel guarded by it, and you want to just make sure that your defenses come down while you're talking. And then while you're talking to the student, it is okay to not have all the answers. Allow them to cry, allow silence when the student is thinking, develop a plan with them after they tell you about it, support their decisions, and then ask some follow-up questions to ensure understanding. So I hear what you're saying. It sounds like you. Tell me more about that. And these are all research-based approaches to doing so.
Como padres, nuestra prioridad es mantener a nuestro hijo seguro, no solo físicamente, sino también emocionalmente. El primer instinto de los padres puede ser ponerse defenso y emocionarse con la situación. Mientras el estudiante esté hablando, está bien no tener todas las respuestas, dejar que lloren, permitirse silencio mientras el estudiante piensa, desarrolla un plan con ellos después que te cuente lo que pasó, apoyar sus decisiones, haga preguntas de seguimiento para garantizar la conversación. Pueden ser como, entonces te escucho decir, o suena como tú. Cuéntame más sobre eso.
So what I talked about in the beginning was our communication approaches and what that may look like. What it really comes down to is there's 3 different types of approaches. There is the paraverbal, nonverbal, and verbal. Paraverbal is our tone, our pace, and our pitch of our voice. Our nonverbal is our body language. So as you can see right now, my body is relaxed. I don't have my hands crossed. I have a very relaxed kind of body approach with our body language with my nonverbals. We also want to take that in consideration with our students because sometimes we don't even realize we're crossing our arms, or sometimes we don't even realize our voice gets really fast. So those are really important things that we'll talk more about. Additionally is our verbal, our spoken language. We have to make sure that even if we're really upset, we have to keep that calm, cool tone, voice, and language that we use while communicating with the students.
Hay tres modos de comunicación. La comunicación para hablar es nuestro tono, el ritmo o la velocidad y tono de nuestra voz. La comunicación no verbal es el lenguaje corporal, los gestos y las expresiones faciales. La comunicación verbal es el lenguaje como hablando.
So again, our paraverbal is how we communicate through our tone, our pace, our speed, and our pitch. Our tone level, we want to make sure that it's consistent and level. It is not pitchy going up, down, up, down. It is just level and clear with our students. Our pace, we want to be slow and steady. As you can tell, I'm a fast talker, and I sometimes have to slow myself down to make sure that I'm listening, they're hearing what I'm saying. So I need to slow down and think about that and make sure that it's steady in that it doesn't change really fast to really slow to really fast to really slow, or just really slow and then all of a sudden speed up. So you just want to be consistent and steady and slow so that they can hear what you're saying and process through. Because remember, they're in that emotional state and their brain is not fully functioning and processing everything at that fast speed that they normally do process. With our volume, make sure that it's even and calm. We're not going up high, or we're not yelling, or we're just nice and chill. Again, that calm, cool, collected, because it allows them to know that we're chill, we're listening. It is being communicated to them that we are here. We are not overreacting. We are not underreacting. We are just reacting to how they are talking to us and telling us about this really hard situation. Again, with our pitch, is just that balanced and neutral approach.
La comunicación para hablar es nuestro tono y ritmo, la velocidad y tono de nuestra voz. El tono tiene que estar consciente y en nivel. No puede subir como la voz alta y luego la voz baja. Tiene que estar consciente. El ritmo tiene que estar lento y constante. Tendemos a aumentar nuestro ritmo cuando estamos preocupados, estresados y ansiosos. El volumen tiene que estar uniforme y tranquilo. El tono tiene que estar equilibrio y neutral.
So then nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication, like we talked about, is that body language. So we want to make sure that we have open and positive body language. Relaxed body, uncross your arms, have eye contact with your student or with your child, and be in close proximity, but still be respectful of their own personal space. We don't want to be so far away in the room that it just seems so distant and it's hard for them to even communicate with you. But you also don't want to be right up on them and sitting right next to them, because that's really hard for them to communicate what's going on if they're feeling uncomfortable with you being so close to them. We want to make sure that your gestures and your facial expressions are still supportive. Even if it is shocking to hear, we don't want to raise our eyebrows like, what? We just want it to be nice and relaxed and just listen to it. And you can do that later on and process through that too. But when you're processing and hearing it through that with them for the first time, you want to make sure that it's just even and you're just like, okay, I understand. Can you tell me more about that? And with your nonverbal body language, you can lean in a little bit and just make sure where your shoulders are, that they're square and that it's really facing them. It allows them to see that you are open to what they are saying. We also want to do gentle touch with some communication of gentle touch, and that is fine. But of course, make sure they're okay with that. Some kids don't like to be touched when they're upset. They rather us just kind of talk to them first. So I always like to say, ask before you touch, because some kids don't like that, especially when they're upset. Just like Mr. Carr said, make sure that we're listening with empathy. Give your undivided attention. I know it's hard. There's a lot going on every day, but we need to make sure that they know that we are listening to them and it is serious, that they have a problem and that we want to help them solve it. And listen about those facts and feelings. Take note of what they're saying, that timeline, and what they're feeling throughout that, because to validate to them that they're feeling that way, that is a wonderful way to communicate and show that you're listening and that you're being an active participant in their problem solving of the situation.
La comunicación no verbal, el lenguaje corporal abierto y positivo. El cuerpo que tiene que ser relajado, los brazos sin cruzar, contacto visual, proximidad cercana sin dejar de respetar el espacio personal. Tenga en cuenta su lenguaje corporal, los gestos, expresiones faciales. La comunicación a través del tacto tiene que ser delicado y tierno, escuchando con empatía, permanecer sin prejuicios, darle toda su atención, escucha hechos y sentimientos.
So we want to make sure that we are an active listener. And what that is taking into account to what they're saying both verbally and non-verbally. So if you start to see their body language changing, that you're approaching and you're reacting to that body language change. You want to make sure that you're understanding what they are asking for. Listening again for those feelings. Acknowledge that each person has their own truth. And validate their feelings by giving eye contact and having a friendly and open expressive expression on your face. Listen closely, and then really it's hard, as we all know, because it's our kids and we want to defend them, but really try to withhold any kind of judgment.
Escucha activa. Para ser un oyente activo necesitamos tenga en cuenta lo que están diciendo verbal y no verbalmente. Entender lo que está pidiendo, escuche los sentimientos, reconocer que cada persona tiene su propia verdad, validar sus sentimientos, dar contacto visual y tener una expresión animosa y abierta en su rostro, escuchando atentamente, sentencia de retención.
And then the next one is that verbal communication. Verbal communications are what we use, our words, to really communicate messages. Your words have power. Each word that we use can be impactful. So please, think through those words and the word choices you are using when you're talking with your child about that difficult situation. Keep it short, simple, and clear, and really make sure that it is positively phrased and respectful for all parties. And so that your student and child can learn from you that it may be a difficult situation, but we still treat those difficult situations with respect and positivity.
La comunicación verbal son las palabras que usas para enviar su mensaje. Sus palabras tienen poder. Elección reflexiva de palabras. Mantengan sus mensajes breve, sencillo y claro. Respetuoso, positivamente expresado.
So for social emotional regulation strategies, HALT is a great acronym to remember some strategies to teach students to be self-aware and to engage in self-care. So the H stands for hungry. So physical hunger can lead to irritability, anger, or feelings of nausea, but nutritional deficiency can also apply to hunger. So if they're hungry because it's something nutritional, like they didn't eat breakfast or they didn't eat lunch, provide a nutritious snack. And I know sometimes kids want junk food, but the healthier the snack is, the better, because it's going to keep them full longer. If they're physically if their hunger is more physical, just collaborate with them on identifying their emotions. How are they feeling? Are they stressed and that's why they feel hungry? And then working through those emotions with them. The A stands for angry. So anger is a normal, healthy emotion that is unpleasant and potentially damaging. So some coping strategies that can help decrease that anger are meditation, yoga, going on walks, or just getting some physical exercise. The L in HALT is lonely. So loneliness is being cut off from contact with peers in our social group and in the community. So some coping strategies with this is talking with a trusted adult, our peer, finding interest in activities to join, whether it be at school or in the community. Also engaging them in conversation, asking them how their day was, what was one positive from the day. And also just helping them connect with peers in school, but also outside of school as well. And then the T for halt is tired. So when we're tired, we find it difficult to cope and problems seem much bigger than they may be. Some coping strategies is develop a bedtime routine, making that a scheduled time, even on the weekends, which can be hard. Taking a short nap or going on a walk or playing outside or meditation can also help.
El acrónimo HALT es una estrategia para enseñar a los estudiantes a ser consciente de sí mismo y a participar con el autocuidado. H es para hambriento. El hambre física puede provocar irritabilidad o náuseas, pero la deficiencia nutricional también puede aplicarse hambre. Algo que puede hacer es tener bocadillos nutritivos, indicar de forma colaborar sus emociones. El A es para enojado. El enojo es una emoción normal y saludable que es desagradable y potencialmente daña. Estrategias de afrontamiento puede ser meditación, yoga, caminar o ejercicio. L es por soledad. La soledad es estar descontado del contacto con los compañeros de nuestro grupo social y comunidad. Las estrategias pueden ser hablar con un compañero, adulto de confianza, encontrar intereses y actividades para unirse, involucrarse en una conversación, ayuda al estudiante a conectarse con su compañero. La T es para cansado. Cuando estamos cansados nos resulta difícil sobrellevar la situación y los problemas parecen mayores. Estrategias pueden ser desarrollo de una rutina para la hora de los acortarse, tome una siesta, corta salgo a caminar o un juego afuera y medite.
So to continue with social emotional regulation strategies, social emotional regulation is very important. The following activities can assist with helping your child become have their emotional regulation. So this could be using a mindfulness activity such as breathing and doing some deep breathing, journaling. And I like to tell students journaling does not mean just writing. They can also draw in a journal, and drawing out their feelings as well. Reflecting on how they're feeling, yoga, as well as coloring and drawing, which I just talked about. There's therapeutic coloring books that older students may like, where younger students may just like coloring books with princesses or superheroes. But those older kids really do like those therapeutic coloring books that are just different designs that they can color. Physical activity, whether that's going for a walk or going to play a sport or being on a sports team at school for the older students. Listening to music can also help with emotional regulation. Writing about their emotions, reading a preferred book, their favorite type of book, or maybe they have a favorite novel series they like to read. Drinking some water or eating a snack is also helpful, and then talking to a trusted adult or friend.
Estrategias de regulación socioemocional. La regulación socioemocional es importante. Las siguientes actividades ayudan con la regulación emocional. Usar una actividad de atención plena, es decir, respirar, escribir en un diario, reflexionar o hacer yoga. Colorear y dibujar, actividades físicas, escuchando música, escrituras, leer un libro preferido, beber un poco de agua y comer un bocadillo. Hablar con un adulto o un amigo de confianza.
Next is support system. So you and your student are not alone in dealing with a difficult situation. You can reach out to others for support through the school, just your extended family or your community. The following people that can offer support to you and your student at school would be the school social worker, maybe the administration at the building, so the student's principal or assistant principal, your student's teacher, any adult at school that your child trusts is a good person for them to talk to. For family members, that could be your parents, so grandparents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. Again, if they have that trusted relationship with a family member, using that family member to create that support system so they know who to go talk to. In the community, that could be faith-based leaders, counselors, therapists, community leaders, coaches, anyone again that your child trusts. And if you're not sure where to start, you can always, reach out to the school and talk to your child's social worker. We're here to help come up with that support plan and create a support system for your student.
El soporte de sistemas. Usted y su estudiante no están solos en enfrentar una situación difícil. Puede comunicarse con otras personas para obtener apoyo a través de la escuela, su familia y la comunidad. Las siguientes son personas que pueden ofrecerles apoyo a usted y a su estudiante. En la escuela puede ser la trabajadora social, el director de los estudiantes, su maestro, puede ser algún adulto que su estudiante tenga confianza. En la familia puede ser los abuelos, padrastros, hermanos, tías, tíos y primos. Y en la comunidad puede ser líderes religiosos, consejeros, terapeutas, líderes de comunicación y entrenadores.
And then for continuing supports, even after a difficult situation has occurred, you and your student are not alone. You can always reach out to others for support. Don't feel like, well, this was a while ago and now my student is reacting to it. You can always reach out and create that support plan with your student so you can keep that communication open, whether it's between home and school or home and the community. Like I said, reach out to the school social worker if you're not sure where to start. If you're like, this happened a while ago, but my student's talking about it, we can always check in with the student as well to help create that support system, whether it's at home, school, or in the community.
Más sobre apoyos pueden incluso después de que haya ocurrido una situación difícil, usted y su estudiante no están solos. Siempre pueden comunicarse con otros para obtener apoyo. Mantenga su comunicación abierta con el sistema de apoyo que ya haya creado. Cree un plan de apoyo para animar a su estudiante a buscar ayuda cuando sea necesario. Y puede ser que fue que algo pasó anterior y su estudiante apenas está hablando de la situación. Puede siempre comunicarse con la señora Lindsay Harmon en la escuela.
So thank you so much for attending tonight. We hope that would help you guys while you're helping your student, your child go through a difficult situation. If you have any questions, please go ahead and you can put it into the chat box and we are happy to stay on and address any questions or concerns you may have. Also, if you don't mind taking our quick survey that you can see linked here with the QR code, just to give us some feedback on how we can improve and continue to give you guys some great presentations to help you throughout the school year.
Si tienen algunas preguntas, pueden ponerlas en este chat y se pueden comunicar con usted. También, si pueden, por favor, tomar la encuesta corta, si nomás pueden tomar una foto de este código de aquí. Y gracias.
Thank you. Have a great night. All right, team, I'm not seeing any questions. So I think unless there's anybody else that has a question, we'll go ahead and end our presentation for tonight. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and hope to see you at our next one.